Hey there YouTube, this is part 4 of the Blender Shootmania tutorial series, and this video is going to be all about exporting. So, we got a few small things to deal with before we can export the model from Blender and import it into Shootmania. First off, what I'm going to do is, you can leave this model like this, but what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take it out to clear the parent so I can see them both, and I'm going to just apply that armature modifier again so that it's still affected. You need to have this, otherwise it will not work when you export. Or in-game, maybe. I'm not really sure what. You need to have this. So, first of all, I'm going to add multiple LODs, level of details. So if I put underscore LOD 0 on the end here, that is the default level of detail. That is the highest level of detail. So I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to make this LOD 1. And I need to lower the number of vertices in this one, because if I go to it, I got 9,000 vertices, and I believe the game handles only around 2,750 or so. Something like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower it by doing a, where is it here? Decimate modifier. And this simply just, if I hide that, it just lowers the number of vertices. If you get lower, then obviously it tries to lower the number of triangles. If you get too low, then it does not look great at all. So I'm going to leave it around a 0.3, I think. So if I apply that and go in here, you can see now the it's all in triangles mostly because the game the Blender tries and removes vertices that are fairly flat so that you don't notice them as much. So now I'm down to 3,000 vertices. I actually want to go a little bit lower. Maybe a 0.22. That's not too bad. Like that. If I go in here, yeah, you can see 2,300. Or actually, what I noticed, actually what I should do first, is usually want to get rid of some detail, and the decimate modifier doesn't entirely get rid of detail. So what I'm actually going to do is go in here first, and I'm going to select. Actually, I'll just select the main model, and I want to keep the arm cannon there on, and I'll keep that, and I want to keep the stuff in the head like that, and I can keep the armband there. So now, if I invert the selection, go back to texture, these parts are just extras, right? So what I can do is just delete them, and honestly it really doesn't look too much worse. If I want, like, really this is supposed to be a very low level of detail model, so what I can, so now I can actually raise it up to like 0.3 and apply that, and I've still only got 2,400 vertices there. I'm gonna go a little bit lower because sometimes the number of vertices will raise a little bit. If it's not correct in game, I can just redo it, come back in here, lower it a little bit more, and apply it again, and then you're good. I'm actually not going to apply it because when I export, it will apply. One more thing before I export I want to do is I want to make an icon for this model. So what I'm going to do is press Shift-A and add a camera. And I'm going to move this camera back. Actually, I'm going to Alt-R, Alt-G to get rid of the rotation and right, so like that, and I'm gonna move this out like there, I think, and I'm gonna set the focal length up, grab it up a little bit. I need to make this to be square, and I want this to be 512 by 512, and the reasoning for that is first of all, you need to have a square image, and also the image needs to be a power of 2 size, and 512 is one of those. You can go down to 256 or 128, but I think like 512, then it'll look good in the Steam Workshop. You can go down, actually down to 64 by 64, I think, and it'll still look good in game. But the Steam Workshop, if you're gonna add on there, then you're gonna want to have a 512 by 512 so that the icon looks good. So I'm gonna set that up to 100%. And I'll move this forward a little bit, maybe a little bit outward, I'll go a little bit further like that. And now, if it's not, yeah, I got ambient occlusion on, so that's probably the easiest way to do this. I can set the samples up to like 20. And if I do a render now, hopefully... Oh no, I didn't apply the material. Oh, there we go, yeah. The material wasn't applied for whatever reason. So put that like that. I don't know why it has a 0.001 on the end. Like that, and now if I render, we've got the model in a picture like that. So that's not too bad. I'm gonna up the anti-aliasing to try and get rid of any edges if possible. That's good like that. So now if I'm actually gonna move this in a little bit more, because this will be a fairly small image when you see it in game, so I want to make sure that you can see the model as best you can, just like that. So that's good. So I'm going to do image, save as. If you want to, you can go pull this into GIMP or Photoshop or something and edit it, maybe add some text over top or something. Well, I'm just going to export this straight to the TGA format. So if I do that, and I'm going to name it icon.tga. I'll put it in the texture folder. Just like that. Alright. So now that's done. I'm going to hide that. And I can unhide this second model. You want to make sure that restrict render is unchecked. Or restrict render is checked, I guess. Or, yeah. Make sure that the LOD 0 or other LODs will not render when you're doing the camera, otherwise it may screw things up and look kind of weird. So now I want to select these three parts and go export and export FBX. So I'll move down a little bit so that that's not in the way. And first of all, you want to select FBX 6.1, because the 7.4, I mean, it might work at some point, but if you look at it right now, it says no animation yet, which means that the armature, I don't think it'll export. So make sure you go to the ASCII format, and I'm going to put scale up to 100, because right now everything is scale 1, and in the game, well, FBX, what it's expecting is FBX from something like something Autodesk, which is scaled up 100. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set that, and I want to set selected objects, because that way it won't export the camera object that I wasn't selecting. I mean, it really doesn't matter. You don't have to select that. You can just export it all, and you don't have to select anything when you're doing it. But I like to do that, and make sure that where is it? Apply modifiers is selected, so that it'll apply the modifiers on the objects. And I'm going to export this as model.fbx, just like that. Alright. If you hold the mouse still and you get an error saying that the scale is wrong, then make sure you just set the scales right so that they're all 1.0. It just makes it easier so you don't encounter any things that go wrong. And so actually we're done here in Blender. So I'm going to close that. And if I go back over here, now we have a model file here. So what I got to do now is we have to make a folder in the, so what you want to navigate to your Mania Planet folder in your documents. It should be there, and what you want to do is, if you don't have one created, make a work folder, make a skins folder, make a models folder, make an arena player folder, and yeah, so these are all the ones that I've been working on right now. These are all the models. You can see the Salvador finished one that I've already done. And I'm going to create a new folder. I'll name it BL2_Salvador, just like that. Go in there, and if you look at, say, this one, we need to have an anim set, a model, and these two other files, and textures. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy in that model, copy, and I also want to get these two files, and those you'll be able to find in, you want to make sure you use the scintille sample ones, which of course you can find in the description. I have them right here on my Sintel sample. These, as you can see here, these are basically the files that are in the Sintel sample, and you can actually put these in here and test the exporter or the importer into the game to see if you're doing it right, in case you get some errors or something. So I want to copy these two files, and I'm going to put those in here. I'm going to make a texture folder, and I want to go, and now I want to copy these 3 textures that we previously created into here, as well as the icon texture. And there are 2 textures missing here. So before, we didn't go over the mask texture and the energy texture. These are 2 very specific ones to the game, and you'll probably want to go in to the game without them first and then make them afterwards to make sure. I mean, it makes it easier just to make sure the model works and then work on the textures. So if we go over here, I'm going to, if you go new and make like a 16 by 16, and you want to make it black, and now you can export this. Where's the export? There we go. Export it as BL2 underscore Salvador underscore M, and you also want to export M underscore E dot TGA, of course. So you want to do that. BL2 Salvador there. So you want to export both of those to test it in game. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use the ones that I already created, and I can show you what they look like here. So we want to have a black background first of all, and the energy texture looks like this. So there are a few parts, if you go over here you can see on top that I've added some green color to. You want to make it, I don't know if you need to make it green, but all the files I've seen make the energy green. I really don't know why, so that's the way I've done it. And you just want to have a couple areas. I mean, you don't really have to have anything at all, but I think it's nice to have a little bit of energy illumination to the model. So, and then there's also the mask texture. So the mask texture changes the color of your character in game, which you'll see in a moment when we get to importing it. And so for the colors to work properly, you're going to want to have the masked area that's going to change color green. So what I've done is I went and selected the areas that are orange on the shirt, and I've changed those to be green. And then I have a mask up here that is all white. And so if I put the black background behind it, this is what the mask looks like. So the white areas are going to change color, and which are also the green areas here. So I have this texture here that I export as the mask, and this texture here that I export as the energy. So those 2 I have. Actually, I'll export it now. Export, if I go here, select that one and change it to an E, and then change this over, and I want to export the mask just like that. Alright, so that's done with. So now I can actually go and import or add those 2 files as well to that. And so the one thing that we got left is the anim set. So in this tutorial, I'm not going to cover that. If you want, I will have a motion builder tutorial. I don't know how to do this in Blender. There are people who have done it in Blender. I don't know how to, and so I do it in Motion Builder. So that, I mean, that's an Autodesk program that I'll link a tutorial on screen here if it's available. It'd be in a week from this one, and so I have made one previously for the Salvador. I'm just going to use that one again so that it shows up properly in game. But if you want to just want to test it, you can go and use the Sintel sample or the. Do I have Stormman here? No, I don't. But the Stormman sample, which will also have one, and you can use the anim set there and just copy that in to the folder, and then that is what you'll need for the that pretty much covers the animations of the character. So now we got to import this with the Nadeo importer, which I'll leave a link down below if you don't have it. And pretty much it's just a little file here called Nadeo importer that you want to put in your program files. So of course if you don't have program files x86, then it's going to be in program files. But I have it here, and then go down to Mania Planet, and then you'll have it here. That, if you click on it, it's not actually going to do anything. Yeah, it doesn't do anything. But you want to click here, type CMD, and that's going to open the command prompt. And now we need a command. So type in Nadeo importer and enter, and you'll get some syntax. It'll tell you, so you can do import car skin, import char skin, mesh, static, yeah. So we want char skin. If you want also, you can use a UI. There are some programs out there that people have created that will automatically do this stuff for you. I'm going to use the CMD command prompt since everyone can use that. But so what we want to do is type in Nadeo importer char skin, and we want to find the folder. So right here I have what I need. So it's in skins. So you type skins slash, and now we need models slash arena player slash BL2 underscore. That's why it's important to have a folder name that does not have any spaces, otherwise you can't really type it in too easily. So that is the folder. Now I want max size. So this is the maximum size of the textures because it's going to process them. And so I want max size to be what the maximum size of my texture is, or you can go higher and it just won't do anything. So if I put in 1024, it would scale down the 4096 texture that I have here to half that size. So I'm going to put in 4096 so it doesn't scale it. And of course you can type in HQDDS. I'm not going to do that because I want it to go faster. And you can type in log mesh stats. I don't know, I think it should run without it, but that'll just give you a few details about what it did. So that, if I run it now, hopefully it will just take a moment, and it will create the folder and the file. Basically it'll create a zip with the required files for the game, and it'll put it into the right folder as well for you. There we go, and now it's finished. So it'll tell you created user, skins, models, arena player, bl2 underscore salvador.zip. So now we can find that. So I'm going to minimize this. You don't need to close it or anything. And I'm going to open up Mania Planet. And moment, it'll boot up. There we go, and go into the, of course, Shootmania Storm. And so this is basically a finished model. Go in here, models, and if I find it here, BL2 Salvador. So there is the model. So actually, you can see, if I press Control X here, it'll tell you how many vertices there are, and other stuff like the energy. If you press, it'll tell you teams as well. Oh, of course, I didn't re-export the diffuse, so it didn't show up properly. See, if it's orange, then it doesn't. It just shows up as gray in the color. And you can see the colors on the belt, of course, from the energy. So, and of course, if I press Control Up, then for whatever reason, it did not export the other LOD. So you can see you need less than 3,500 vertices in the lowest LOD. So this one actually can't be used online, but I think we'll just fix that in a moment here. And of course it's here like this. Of course this is the image I had previously. So you can see the Batman here is similar. You can choose, I mean really, you can use a in-game screenshot or from Blender. It doesn't really matter. The ones in Blender are easy to make, but these ones will probably look more like the actual model. You can see here it's kind of low on contrast, though you can up that in GIMP or whatever. So I'm going to go back into here. I'll figure out why it did not change. So I'll move this around a little bit, and maybe it'll fix it. Export again, of course. And of course now in here I'm going to go back. I'll have this color mask on. Export as that there. And you can leave the game open through this entire process, because it will auto-update easily. And so I want to go back into, there it is, texture, and I want to, here, I want to copy the D texture over again. And I want to copy the model texture from here once more. And now I can just simply go back to the command line, press up, and it'll select what I had previously before, and press enter again. And now it'll do it once more. There we go, that's completed. And now if I go back here and I press H, you can see all of the possible things. I think if I press Control R, yeah, reload skin. There we go. And you can see now I have two lots here. You can see the green color. These don't match, but in game it will always look like one of these two. So it doesn't actually matter. And if it's actually green in game, then this will be colored green. I don't know why it looks like this. It's kind of weird. I mean, it's really the same thing here. It's red on there and then green there. Anyway, you can see the vertices are a little bit high, so I could just go back into Blender one more time and lower that just a little bit more, so I can just get under that 3500 mark. If I press Control up, you can see there's two LODs, and you can see what the lower one looks like. Which, yeah, of course, I mean it's not too bad, honestly. Can work on it a little bit more to try and get it just the right way. And so if you want to see this model in the game, press back, and I have a replay here. I edit replay. And if you go replays, I'll leave this replay in the description, and you can add it into your replays folder, I believe. If I go media, no. If you go replays, and then I left it in downloaded. So there's a screenshot, which I have, which I'll leave in the description for you if you want to put that in there. And so I can open it here somewhere. If I go up, downloaded, there we go. Just like that, launch that. It's gonna give you a little error there. Advanced. There we go. And so now if I click there, of course, and move in, you can see I have my creeper from before, and I can change that. If I click on this, change it to Salvador, as well as this one, just like that. And you can see him in game now. So you can use this kind of thing as a good image for a main screen on a Mania park, or just to show off the model on Steam, just like that, or even lower maybe. And you can do stuff, of course, like turn off the light, and you can see what the colors look like. So I can force hue, and now you can change. You can see if it's actually green, then it won't look too bad because it'll actually change the color to green. And of course, and now what you want to do is you can where is it here? The blue guy here, I'm going to delete this block as well as this one so it's easier to see. And the blue one here, I'm going to change to be there and play a little bit. and so you can watch the running animation to make sure that it's good. If you back up, it'll do some weird things, but if you play forward, you can do some slow motion and make sure that the legs are moving right and there's no weird vertices going wrong or anything like that. And in a moment here you can, so if you check, so that right there is where the weapon muzzle comes into play. So the rotation on it will decide what direction this light is shooting out. So if it's backwards, it'll actually shoot out this way, or it'll shoot out like to the side or whatever. So you want to make sure that's straight out. And that is also, I think, where the start of it is where the bullet will come out of. Just like that. I mean, it's kind of a general area, really. And you can see the bullets coming out like that. So that's all for this episode, I think. I mean, basically the model is now totally completed. You can, of course, go back and change the different textures, or maybe change the model just a little bit and just re-import it again and just do the exact same thing. It's pretty simple from here on out. So there you have it. Your character should be basically completed now. You can share it on Mania Park or on Steam or however else you'd like. If the video was helpful, leave a like and subscribe for more. And if you want, you can leave a suggestion down below for future tutorials. Thanks for watching.